Are the Sixers in trouble? What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the More Than Philly Sports Network. It is 61 degrees outside. It might be a little windy, but the weather is doing just fine. We are happy to be here again with you all this week. I know it has been a few days, but as always, we are excited to be here. We have a lot to break down today. A couple tragic news, unfortunately, we will start off today's show with. But in addition to that, we are going to be talking about the Philadelphia 76ers three-game losing streak. That is unfortunate. And unfortunately for the Phillies as well, they've had quite an up-and-down week. I have reasons to stay optimistic about them. This man right here probably otherwise, but as always, joined alongside my co-host Gaven, Tony, edging closer every week to our one-year anniversary. Man, it's going to be a fun show. But up until then, we got to keep doing the regular. How are you doing on this fine Friday?
Zach, I'm doing great. It's nice outside. I actually took the liberty of sitting outside today and reading a book, ladies and gentlemen. Yes, I do read. For those that are close to my circle that never see me read at home, I do read, okay? But Zach, before we get into it, I just want to point out yesterday we lost Terrence Clark, the former guard out of Kentucky that was on his way to the NBA draft, died in a car accident, a fatal car accident. Zach, he was coming from a basketball workout, and as we talked about the show, life is really short. And I know you're a fellow driver, and me, I have hopes of driving in near a couple months. You just really hate to see it, and it's sick to your stomach, because that young man was about to change his life. The NBA is a life changer experience, especially financially and experience wise. So my thoughts and prayers go out to Terrence Clark and the Clark family. And Zach, one more thing I had to say is the reports came out that he ran a red light. I mean, I don't know what the severity is. I wasn't there. But BJ Boston was, I don't know if he was involved or not, but I think he was the car behind him. So we'll just have to wait to find out. But if you're the Clark family, you just hate to see that in the basketball. The basketball world responded. It's a sad situation.
Yeah, no, I mean, irrelevant of how it happened. I mean, this is a tragedy all around. It's with a guy like Kobe Bryant, and I hate to compare two tragic deaths like that. It is different. It doesn't make the severity of either one better or worse. But he was able to live out that dream of being a basketball player, of playing in the NBA. Came directly from Lower Merion High School here in the Philadelphia area. He had a whole new chapter of his life ahead of him, and for Terrence, it was he's a year older than us, Gavin, give or take, year and a half, I think, for you. 2001. That's less than 2 years before us. But yeah, I don't know. This is tough. It always is tragic when anybody dies, especially someone that we know is very involved in the sports community. For our focus, that's what we do as what we report. And obviously, Kentucky is known to develop and have very good prospects, and this was one of them. And not only to the Clark family, but to the entire UK community, and to anyone who's a Hoops fan, anyone who's being impacted by this. It's tough, and it always is tough to sit down and talk about this. And we should never get used to tragic death. We should never get used to a lot of things that we do break down on here that unfortunately happen too often. No matter who's at fault, it doesn't matter. In this case, it's a tragedy, and he should be remembered for how great of a basketball player he was, and for his teammates. I'm not sure if he has any siblings, but for his family to carry on his legacy, I'm not going to speak for them. But less than 24 hours later, it's a really hard thing to process. And even for us who didn't unfortunately know him, he seemed like a great kid, and he was an excellent baller. It's a difficult situation, and the only thing that we can really do, we can send our condolences. Of course, I'm sure that there's donations being set up, meal trains, things like that for the family to do whatever they can to just help out during this time, so that they can focus on the grieving period for their family member, their son, brother, sister, or whoever is being impacted. Life is short. Any second you can be taken. And the reason that we all work hard, the reason that you need to wake up every day with a purpose, if there's anything that should be reaffirmed in a time like this, it is, life is short. You can lose it at 19, you can lose it at 12, 16, 15, 40. it's just a reminder that you need to live your life to the fullest, and you can't control everything, but that's okay. And I know those aren't the words that anyone wants to hear right now because of the totality of the circumstance, because of how difficult it is. Yeah, I mean, that's the only thing I can say. That's the only thing you can say when you're not directly impacted by it, and you can only stand by and voice your opinion. There's only so much that we can do. But if there are any GoFundMes, I do want to take a look and find some and tweet them on the account because I'm sure the family really could use some support right now so that they can focus on what matters, which is the grieving period for their son. But we as a country, as a world, a basketball community, and potentially future NBA, we have all lost a friend today, a star, potential future star, potential role player, teammate, family member, brother. And it's difficult to have days like this. It's difficult to start shows like this. It happens every day. People die tragically every single day. And every life should be valued the same and is equal. For us, of course, the ones we hear about are some of the ones that are more notable, again, especially in that sports world. And that's kind of all I can leave it at. We will revisit this. We want to do what we can to help. We'll see if we can share out some links. I'm going to take a look at that in following our show today. But not much more we can really say except for we just send thoughts and prayers to the family, to the entire Kentucky community, and we are all with you tonight. We as a country or as a world that stand divided often, we all stand as one at this moment in the grieving of Terrence Clark.
Real quick, Zach, before we move on, I just want to say it's been one hell of a week. I mean, a lot just happened. Just at home alone, you got the verdict, which Zach, we're going to have the chance of one day to sit down and talk about it. And literally, I want to say, not even, it feels like 40 minutes after that, and another life was lost to another police shooting. But we'll talk about that another day. And then the end of the week, on a even worse note, you lose a future star, maybe. So we just got to keep bouncing back. It's not as many times you get knocked down, it's how many times you get back up. Zach, we'll discuss it like as we always do. But as of right now, if you're the Clark family, you're right, Zach. We're all with you.
You're who matters. We are all with you. Whatever we can do to help, we will continue to fight for that. With that being said, we'll continue to revisit it. We'll see what we can do to help. Continue to use our voices. Continue for the viewers that are watching us. We'll see what we can do to help out. If anybody does know anything, we'd love to hear it and see what we can do as well. Because it's times like this that show humanity and show how much we can all do and help for each other. Because if that happens to you one day, if it's your son or your daughter or your parent or whatever, it's good to know that people have your back, even when you're grieving quite heavily. So, with that being said, we are going to continue to proceed, and we're going to talk about the Philadelphia 76ers, stay in the basketball world. Quite a roller coaster for the Sixers. 3-game winning streak last week, 3-game losing streak this week. Ben Simmons played in all 3 games last week, didn't play in all 3 this week. Coming up after this, we're going to break down our thoughts on all 3 of these games and whether or not we should be worried about the Sixers entering the playoffs.
We are now offering a new product on our Teespring. Wear a mask in public. We are now supporting a custom-designed mask with our logo on it. Purchase it today, and 10% goes to a foundation of our viewer's choice. It offers a full nose and mouth coverage, single-sided print, includes 2 2-inch elastic ear loops, non-medical grade product, and finally, $1 from every mask sale is donated to a nonprofit to feed children in need. Enjoy today's episode.
It's been a good week for the Sixers a couple of weeks ago. Let's take a look at some of the games they've played since their hot streak had begun. Following that loss in New Orleans, they went to OKC, put up a very easy victory there. Went to Dallas, easy win there. Home against Brooklyn, had control of the game until the end and then regained it at the end. And then a phenomenal closeout against the Clippers on last Friday, the 16th. On Monday, they lost to the Warriors in an 11-point loss, 3-point loss to Phoenix, which almost was an overtime game, and a Bucks-Sixers game that became close at some points, but in reality, the Sixers were never in it. Embiid doing his part, but Tobias Harris has been in and out of the lineup, has not been efficient when he wasn't. Shake Milton's been struggling. Furkan Korkmaz is hurt. And, of course, the big name, Ben Simmons, has an illness. I guess it's not COVID-related since it wasn't issued as that it would have been. And he will be expected to miss tomorrow, the 4th straight for him against Milwaukee at 3:30 in the Pfizer Forum. So, Gavin, I'll hand it off to you, man. What's happening with the Sixers right now?
Well, first of all, Zach, you take a look at a Sixers team that's hot and cold. I mean, when Brooklyn loses a game and you think this is a time for the Sixers to get a game up, they can't do it. Zach, when you talk about a team in the Sixers that I'm going to use the word inconsistent, they're the most inconsistent 1 seed I've ever seen in the East. And that's no knock to the Philadelphia 76ers, but let's be honest. I mean, let's take a look at the last 3 games. On the 3-game losing streak, you go play against Zach. I'll be honest, the hottest player in the game at the time, Steph Curry, who dropped 49 points, was unconscious from 3. Joel had a respectable 28. There was no Tobias or Ben Simmons there. You go versus the Suns, where Chris Paul has 28, D-Book has 19, Cameron Johnson has 15, and Mikal Bridges has 18. All right. So you're like, D-Book didn't go up, but Chris Paul beat you. But Zach, Joel has 38, and he misses the game time 3, which, Zach, if he would have made that would have been
a 90-foot throw. It wasn't like it was a
throw.
cool.
90. Look, I would put him on the Eagles roster to see if he could play quarterback after seeing that throw. But Zach, you go from missing that. Tyrese has 14. George Hill has 11. I want to say his second game played or yeah. And then Furkan goes out with an injury, but still has 12 points. I wouldn't say banged up. No Ben and no Tobias and no Curry during those 3 games or during that game. So now let's go to last night. Or you got the Bucks with 27, or excuse me, Giannis with 27, Middleton with 24, Bobby Portis with 23. Out of all people on the team, Bobby Portis
3 threes in a row on 3 straight possessions.
And then Zach, to top it off, Drew Holiday had 12 points with 11 assists, and they started the game off 10 out of 10. Now, on the Sixers side, nothing really too crazy. Joel Embiid had 24, Tobias Harris is 18 and returned after missing 3 games with a knee injury. That's fine. And Shake had 20. I mean, Zach, if there's one thing I noticed from these games is Ben Simmons is the team MVP. And because he is the glue that takes like a guy like Steph Curry on, that would take a guy, and no disrespect to Matisse Thybulle when I say this, but yes, he did I'm going to say a fairly well job versus D-Book, but I'd rather have Ben Simmons on D-Book, and then you could have had him on Chris Paul. You see my logical thinking on that one. And then like last night, saying I like Joel Embiid, but Giannis and Ben Simmons is the only one I think has a chance. Him and them two together. Ben Simmons is Defensive Player of the Year. These last 3 games that he didn't play, what happened to the Sixers? They lost. And Joel Embiid put up 28, 38, and 24, and they didn't win. It's what Ben Simmons does to keep. It's the little things, Zach. It might not show up on the stat sheet, but it shows up through our eyes. I mean, look at it. You get steals, which show up the stat sheet, but it's making people miss. It's taking the ball out of their number 1 player's hands. That's the stuff that you miss. The floor spacing, the eye attention, because that's a guy to go off at any point, and you don't have that, and you can focus on Joel Embiid. I mean, come on now.
Yeah, no doubt. I'm just trying to take a look at the record. I do have an article up that did say on March 28th, the Sixers were 5-3 without Ben Simmons. If the only 3 games he's missed were these most recent ones, the Sixers would be 5-6, 1 game below 500. Without Simmons, I'm trying to see if I can find some updated stats on this. But Gavin, you made a pretty, I'm not going to say absurd, but a pretty hot take that Ben Simmons is the most valuable player to this 76ers team. And we both agree in a lot of ways that there's some things that Ben Simmons does that you can't see or show up on the stat sheet that make this team win. He opens up lanes for us. The speed that he does is just so important to the team. So would you rather have Ben Simmons or Joel Embiid right now? Which one would you roll with going to the playoffs if you had to choose one?
Well, I'm gonna have to take Joel Embiid because he is the hot man. But remember, Zach, and it goes back to what I was saying earlier in our shows when we were talking about moving Ben Simmons or moving Joel Embiid. You need them both because one does things that the other one can't do, and it's vice versa. Zach, Joel Embiid is tall, but he can't move like a guard. Ben Simmons can. So Ben Simmons can match up on guards like Steph Curry and Kemba Walker and those type. But also, too, Joel Embiid is the most dominant in the post. Ben Simmons sometimes looks like it, but it's not consistent. I'd rather have them both. But and to answer your question, I want Joel Embiid. But as of right now, Ben Simmons is with the little stuff that Ben Simmons does. You need him.
Yeah, no doubt. I do have up from StatMuse. I have both with and without Ben Simmons and with and without Joel Embiid. I'll read off both stats just to give us a little more of a feel from the analytics standpoint. See, Gaven, analytics class is paying off on us. Look at us over here.
Shout out to Mr.
White will be proud. But in all seriousness, look, 11 games without Ben Simmons. They're 5-6 in those games, about 113 points per game. Field goal percentage is 47.8. And then we have 10 3-point makes per the game, which is about 37%. And then let's take a look without Joel Embiid in the lineup. They are 9-9, so they actually have a better win percentage without Joel Embiid than they do without Ben Simmons. 5-6 versus 9-9. Given the sample size is definitely bigger. Not a big points per game difference. 110 without Embiid versus 112 without Simmons, and then a couple of the other things here: 10.8 with 3-point makes without him, without Embiid, and then without Simmons again that is 10.4. So 0.4, not really the end of the world. And then if we take a look at the 3-point percentage with Ben Simmons in, it's 37.3%. And without Joel, it is about 35%. So according to this, it still appears that Joel Embiid is the MVP of this team. And again, that's just the analytics side. But, I mean, looking at this, turnovers, 151 in those games. Of course, that's going to be a hard comparison. But that is compared to 252 with about double the game. So it's pretty hand-in-hand. But 160 steals without Joel Embiid in the lineup, about 87 without Simmons. And so obviously that's the biggest dip. Is the defensive effort, and then the block 64 without Simmons in the lineup, and then 113 without Embiid in the lineup. So, of course, those are, adjusted because of the fact that they are different games. So, without Embiid, without Simmons, those are some of the stats that we read off. The more important number is the record, 5-6, 9-9. It's neck and neck which one's more important, at least I would say so. But I do like them as a duo. I think they're a really good fit. However, this team's going to need to get healthy, and now they're at risk of losing the 1 seed if the Nets beat Boston tonight. They are shorthanded. Brooklyn, that is. The Sixers would fall out of it. But Gaven, Simmons out tomorrow. I don't expect a win against Milwaukee. If they can win, it'd be awesome. But Embiid is also questionable. Injuries are catching up to this team. How concerned are you going into the playoffs?
I'm concerned. I mean, Zach, you heard Joel Embiid himself. He said, I wouldn't have played the game versus the Suns because the Suns weren't on his number one priority. He would say he would have set up that game just to play in last night's game and be ready for the weekend because he knows that's more important than a team that already beat you once. Having said that, Zach, I want to go back to the last topic. You're right. They're both, it's neck and neck. Like I said, they're better together than apart. One can win more but apart. And when you brought up about the field goal percentage, remember, Zach, Doc Rivers likes to run the offense through Joel Embiid when he's there. That's forcing Joel Embiid to get the shots that he gets and he goes to the free throw line as it is. So, not taking anything away from Joel Embiid, but when he's not there, you're forcing guys like Tobias Harris, Seth Curry, Ben Simmons. They have to step up. It's spreading the ball. Not saying that the ball stops with Joel Embiid, but it's like I don't want to say stagnant, but you know where the ball is going at times. Now going back to recent topic, this team has to get healthy. I mean, it's the same thing every year with injuries. They always catch up to Joel Embiid around this time of year. Excuse me, Zach. In a normal regular season, it would already be playoff time as of right now. But Zach, I mean, injuries are going to be to do it. It's a game of who can stay healthiest the longest. And as of right now, Joel Embiid's tired. He's exhausted.
Yeah, he's doing it every night, at least 28 a night in the last 5 games. I also do have the record without Tobias Harris in the lineup. That's 4-5, so another guy important. Both him and Ben Simmons below 500 when they don't play. Joel Embiid's the only one that's at 500.
I want to say that there's never just one best because they all need each other. Like if you look at Brooklyn, Zach, James Harden's winning games by himself. Kyrie Irving put a couple wins here to there, and Kevin Durant can win games by himself up there as well. These guys down here in the Sixers, they need one. They need at least 2 out of 3. Sometimes not even 3 out of 3. 2 out of 3 just to have a chance to win, and 3 out of 3 just to solidify the win. I mean, we haven't seen Tobias Harris by himself. We've seen Ben Simmons by himself back in the day, with less than what he had now, and we seen Joel Embiid by himself. So we need them all healthy, to be honest with you, Zach. And Daryl Morey has to make, I want to say, another move to solidify the bench, maybe a nice role player to come off it.
Yeah, I don't know who's available in the buyout market anymore. It's kind of been settled and done. I think George Hill is still working his way into the lineup. I like this team a lot, but in order to go to the NBA Finals, in order for everything to go their way, the 1 seed is that first step. So, with that being said, coming up after this, the Philadelphia Phillies in 2 hours from now, Mile High, Colorado. Why I'm still optimistic about them. Why that guy right there is.
Are you okay? Are you okay?
I am all right for now. Stay tuned.
Would you like to know how you can support the More Than Philly Sports Talk Show? If so, head down to the comments on our YouTube channel. You will see 2 links there. The first is our Teespring, where you can see a wide variety of apparel products, including our signature product, the More Than Philly Sports Talk Show sweatshirts, offered in a variety of different colors, including gray, navy blue, and more. Finally, we have our Patreon page where you can become a monthly donation member. 10% of all donations go towards an organization of our viewers' choice. We hope that you enjoyed today's episode, and if you can't donate, that's okay, because you can always share this.
All right, a very interesting return for Gabe Kapler to Philadelphia. The San Francisco Giants winning 2 of 3. The Phillies had the lead late in all 3 games. Of course, it took an Andrew Knapp walk-off to win it. Interesting for the most part. Aaron Nola had himself a phenomenal outing last week, of course, and we'll talk about that a little more in detail because Gavin's been very critical of Aaron Nola. We spoke about this off the show at one point, but quite an interesting one for the Philadelphia Phillies. Again, they lost 2-0 to the Giants on Monday of this week. They were up big late in the game on Tuesday and unfortunately blew the lead. 2 3-run home runs in the 8th inning would do it for them. They lost 10-7. And then, of course, they were able to pull off that win 6-5 just the other night on Wednesday. They go to Colorado tonight. Colorado is not good. They are struggling. I believe Nola is starting tonight. Correct me if I'm wrong. It might be Anderson in the very back end of the lineup, but we will see Nola against this Rockies lineup. However, I will say this depth is getting tested very quickly, and the bullpen has failed miserably. The offense might be a different conversation. Mickey Moniak had himself a strong start, or not a strong start, but 2 or 3 games in, he started looking better. Whoever the kid is at shortstop, I really wish I could tell you. A lot of guys are getting hurt right now all around the field. Scott Kingery, for some reason, is back up. Yeah, I'm worried.
For what?
I did not think that these guys would all get hurt. The depth is getting tested, but the Phillies have the pieces to be able to win 2 of 3 against the Rockies and hold down the fort until Segura comes back, Gregorius comes back, and a couple other guys are able to return from injury. But just to recap the most recent game for the Phillies, 7 runs and then 6 runs. They won the 6-run one. They lost the 7-run one. The offense is starting to find its legs. Andrew McCutcheon continues to struggle. I think he should be benched. Rhys Hoskins, for the most part, has been doing his job pretty good, in my opinion. I think he's had a very good year just doing his role. Bryce Harper finding his groove now. Alec Boehm finding his groove. I mean, Brad Miller, whatever, Nick Mattoon, I believe his name is. He has something to prove. Mickey Moniak has something to prove. And then, of course, Scott Kingery has a lot to prove. So I'm not sure what the future of this team holds. I cannot say right now they're a playoff team. However, based on my assumptions from the beginning of the year, I still believe they can be a playoff team. Just taking a look at the standings, and Gavin, I know you've been shaking your head at almost everything I've said. This is almost as crazy as our GOAT debate, talking about the Philadelphia Phillies. They're in second place. They are tied for second or for first place, actually, because the Mets lost last night. The Phillies can go into first place tonight at 10-9. The Braves are finding their groove slowly. Marlins have been and the Nationals have not been good at all. The whole league, with the exception of the Dodgers and the Giants, honestly, are maybe within 1 or 2 games of 500. I mean, all around the league, everybody's still finding their groove. It's a long season, and there's reason to believe the Phillies can be part of it in October and November.
Say that last part again.
I think the Phillies that there'll be a red October in Philadelphia.
That's blasphemy, Zach, and you owe me an apology for saying
18 games in, you don't win 18 games.
No. Wait, hold on. Here's why. First of all, here's why. Let's go back to Tuesday, right? Who is Connor Brogdon? And why is he giving up 6 runs? Now, Joe Girardi, I don't criticize you for anything because you know, Zach, when it comes to Joe Girardi, and whenever I hear anybody say anything about Joe Girardi, I get mad at the person speaking about Joe Girardi. But, Joe, I have to question you. Connor Brogdon gave up.
It's early in the year.
No.
Let them figure it out.
This is the problem. You give him the hook, and then when it gets to July, you start to see it from my point of view. And then, Zach, guess what? It's too late. So here's why. I'm going to get on right now. When you got Connor Brogdon giving up not 1 3-run home run, but 2, I mean, goodness gracious, Zach, can we just put a 3-year-old in there if that's what we're doing? Buy one, get one free 3-run home runs. That's what it looked like. It looked like Giant was getting up 3-run home runs. That's what it looked like when he was pitching. That game Tuesday was awful.
The old Turkey Hill Phillies Grand Slam ice cream.
They need to bring that back. That was actually pretty good, Zach. They need to bring that back.
That was really good.
Having said that, Zach, Gabe Kapler came back and won 2 out of 3. Or excuse me. Yeah, I was right. 2 out of 3. And we're talking about October? Come on, man. Now, I'll give it to you. The offense look great. Mickey Moniak and Batum, I forget the other guy's name, but you're right. And as much as it pains me to say that, Andrew McCutchen should be benched. And I hate saying that. And I really do.
Agree.
I love Cutchen. I love everything that he stands for, especially the Pittsburgh McCutchen. All right. We know he's a legend, but he has to be benched. All right. He has to be benched or he has to be sit down and we have to figure out what's going on. And Reese Hoskins, I can't believe it. I'm about to say something nice. He's actually. I have no complaints. I don't.
He's doing his job really well. He went over 5 years the other day.
That's all I ask. Bill Belichick. If Bill Belichick would look at Reese Hoskins, he was like, he's doing his job. Bryce Harper is the reason why we won the other game. Besides him and Andrew Knapp, that's it. But Zach, let's be realistic for a second. This bullpen still looks like hot trash.
It's hurt again.
It's hurt. Okay, you lost a couple guys with the virus. I understand that. Alvarado was part of it. I don't know if he's back yet or not. But I figure when you get him back, and once again, when Sir Anthony Dominguez and David Robinson decide they're done stealing us with money and decide they want to pitch again, maybe this bullpen will be so respected. And Zach, you mentioned Archie Bradley with the forearm, so I'll let the bullpen slide. But you know the one thing I won't let slide? All people to bring up, you bring up Scott Kingery. Zach, Scott Kingery, all people, Zach, Scott Kingery is the person that would be like, all right, guys, let's go out to eat. And then you'd be like, what time you guys want to go out to eat? And he's the first to say, I don't know. I don't know what time you guys want to go. I don't care where we go. So why ask to go out to eat then if you don't know where you want to go and what time you want to go? Don't ask. It's like bringing a guy that could care less about playing baseball up to the majors and let him get all this glory for no reason. All right, I hear it all. Oh, Scott Kingery has the looks. Well, guess what? The looks don't buy you runs, buddy. They don't. It's like I am beyond frustrated. And the fact that you believe that this team, yes, Zach, it's still here. This team will be going in October. That's blasphemous. That is beyond blasphemous. Zach, they'll be lucky to be relevant by my birthday time. I'm being honest. Now the Braves, they're off to Acuna's off to a hot start. The Mets are up and down. If you follow this Mets guy on Twitter, he shows you how bad the Mets are. Yeah,
the whole division's at or below 500 right now. And best division in baseball.
The Marlins are playing as I expected, garbage, and Washington's still trying to figure out if they can pitch or not. I mean, I just like, come on, you. Like, I'm telling you,
the Cubs beat the Mets 15-4 the other day, and you're worried about the Phillies right now. You're sitting here yelling about the Phillies. All you gotta do is win the division. It doesn't matter how terrible.
I'm yelling at
90 wins might win the division.
They haven't done anything in years.
90, 95 wins might win. Atlanta's gonna find their
groove. They're not gonna do that. They're not gonna do that.
16-4, and Philly is freaking out.
You look at this team, right? And it's like a menu. Zach, you look at this team. You see Bryce Harper. You see Andrew McCutchen, and you see Reese Hoskins. You see JT. You see Didi. You see all these names.
Restaurant to me.
Hold on. Yeah, you see. Yeah. It sounds like a good restaurant, right? But then when you order off that menu, the food sucks because whoever made it can't cook. That's what it's looking like. They can't cook.
Ordered a hamburger and just got raw meat.
Eat this. I don't want to eat none of this because you know what? It looks. And let me be honest when I say this. The front office is sucks and it's raw. All right, it's like getting served raw fish or raw steak. That's what the front office is. And then if you look at the menu, you look at the lineup, like, oh, this is pretty good. All right, we got it. And then you look at the bullpen that's supposed to be dessert, and no one wants to eat that because it's overpriced and it stinks. Like Zach, let's be honest. The Phillies are one of the best teams. If you look at it with names, you look at who they have here, and you look at who the manager is. And you look at the record, and you're like, "Damn, what happened?" Let's be honest.
You look. All right, hold on. You look at the New York Mets right now. This is it's called relativity. We're going to talk about this in relativity. Or
go ahead.
You take a look at some of these teams who spent big. The New York Mets are 7-7. New York's not freaking out right now. The Braves are 8-10. Nationals are 7-9. We take a look at the Cardinals, who are supposed to be good. Remember, they made that big trade for Nolan Arenado. They're 8-10. The only team that's living up to their expectations at the moment is the Dodgers at 14-5. Even the Padres are 11-10. And the Phillies play the Braves. They play the Mets. They play a lot of good teams. It's early in the year. I think we need to hit the brakes on freaking out so far. We have reason to do it before, but hold on. I'll say this. I'll stick with the food analogy. You can find it's disgusting, but you can find some really cheap raw meat at some dollar stores in the Midwest. I watch for some reason I've watched food making videos. Joe Girardi's been given dollar store steak, but he's going to season it. He's going to put some butter in the rub. He's going to fry it up for us, cut it up, put a sauce on it. Is it going to taste like the premium best steak in the world? Is it going to be like the Los Angeles Dodgers? No, but it sure as hell can be better than whatever Gabe Kapler tried to cook. That's all I'm going to say. That's where I'll leave it. The Philadelphia Phillies roster is a dollar store steak, but the manager is an expert chef and he has access to all the seasoning he needs.
Zach, first of all,
food analogies, we've done that quite a few times on your.
First of all, who the hell buys a dollar steak from a dollar?
Look up Kansas, Texas. You
okay,
watch.
But whoever does that, I had to question their food creativity. All right, Gordon Ramsay needs to shut that down. But Zach, let's be realistic. You can say that Joe Girardi's been handed a $1 steak and he can put all the seasoning in the world, but guess what, Zach? At the end of the day, it's still $1. Zach, you can throw the paprika, you throw the whatever you want to, you can throw whatever you want, the olive, whatever you put in your steak or put on your steak or make it look nice and decorate it and get new jerseys and maroon and upgrade the stadium and put stuff around it. It don't matter. The product is still not performing. The food still tastes bad. Zach, if you were to, all right, one last food analogy because I'm pretty hungry. And just watch. It's like Burger King, Zach. It's like the Philly, the Marlins are Burger King. You could say that the Braves are Wendy's or Chick-fil-A, and you could say, name your fast food spot and you pick the team. And the Phillies are like the McDonald's. And what I mean like McDonald's is like, yeah, some days you want McDonald's and some days you don't want McDonald's. And the reason I say it is like, yeah, and the other days you don't know what the hell the Phillies are doing because they don't know their own time. Zach, why can't we be like the Dodgers that aren't in fast food? They're in their own restaurant.
The Dodgers have a lot.
They're the PJs but Zach, they are the PJs of the food analogy that we go out to eat to. Like, why can't we have one of those things? You ever just watch the Dodgers game, Zach? And I know John Warner would say he would agree with this. You ever just watch any other team?
Yeah, they're consistent. Consistency.
They're just consistent scores and they're consistent with everything. Whether it's the Dodgers, whether it's the Padres, whether it's, even though the Yankees are struggling, the Yankees, whether it's the White Sox, it's consistent. And then when you watch the Phillies, you have to sit here and be mad. When you watch the Eagles, we get frustrated. By the way, there was some comments being made. I know we're going to break that down too. But Zach, if you look at everything, you're like, they really are McDonald's. You want it some days and you don't want it some days. I can't make this up, ladies and gentlemen. And for all my McDonald's fans that know my feeling, that's like, you don't want it, but you know it's close by. But it's good some days and it's bad some days. It's like McDonald's fries. They're salted and unsalted. Whoever makes them.
Final thing, I promise. One time after a Lehigh Valley, Iron Pigs game, we went late at night to Wendy's and they had these pretzel roll. I want to say they were burgers and they were delicious. I'm not a big, you know me. I'm not a big fast food eater, but that's good if you ever get a chance to try it. That and I've had 2 Big Macs in my life and they were spectacular. But in all seriousness, the division leader is 500. We have time to process this. We do see similar patterns to last year. I get your frustration, but I still hold my belief.
It's been years.
This team, in my opinion, this team is going to be better off than it was last year. I confidently believe that. We have plenty of time. Plenty of time. Trust me. The Braves are 2 games below 500. Atlanta's not freaking out right now.
Real quick,
he's having a little too much fun.
Real quick, Zach, and then we'll move on to the Eagles or something. But you're right. Am I hitting the brakes too early? I might be. Am I freaking out? I might be. Zach, I've been in my house for over a year, so everybody's losing their mind. But Zach, it's been years since the Phillies done something. The frustration that Stephen A. gives and Max Tillman get about the New York Knicks, and I like to joke about that, is the same frustration I have with the Phillies. I mean, yeah, the New York Knicks is longer since they actually won something, and the Phillies, it's been 10 years since we've been to the playoffs. But damn, can we get something? I mean, come on. The Dodgers won recently. The Cubs won. Like, come on. Please.
Been 10 years. 10 years too long.
10 years too long. Zach, the last time the Phillies were in the playoffs, I didn't have a beard, and we weren't even this tall. We were still arguing with each other. No, we weren't even in the wide league yet. Zach, I have a full-out beard, and damn it, we're about to graduate, and guess what the Phillies have done?
Not a single thing since 2011. They lost to the St. Louis Cardinals in the NLDS with arguably the best roster in the league, had the best record, and that was the end of that dynasty that never was. But Gavin, I'll hand it off to you. Break down some of the new news and updates in the Philadelphia Eagles world, and then we'll wrap it up from there.
So our beloved or Zach, your beloved new head coach, maybe looking like if you had a little advisor on. Let's get out the way. He said, and I quote, he said, we're going to have we're going to have quarterback competition or the competition at every position. So they didn't really come out and name Jalen Hurts the starter. So me being the Eagles fan I am, let's just get into it real quick, Zach. Let's think about it. You trade away Carson Wentz, or after you basically ran him out of town, whether you're the media and the fans and Jalen Hurts himself ran him out of town and play calling. Zach, we think about 150,000 times. We talked about it. Pick one. Then your general manager comes out and says, well, I was trying to trade up against Zach Wilson. So instead of trying to help the situation, the idiot trades back to 12. So you're behind. Not only are you behind the Cowboys and the Giants, who, I mean, Zach, let's be honest. If you were going to do it to the Giants, I'd rather you just win that last game versus Washington. Watch the Giants go get smacked by the playoffs. But the main point of this situation is this front office is really horrible. In fact, we broke down the article by The Athletic, I want to say last week, where we talked about the comments by Brian Dawkins that were made about how the front office is. And you see it. It's happening front hand. The owner is too power constructive. The general manager is a doofus. And we really know if this guy, Nick Sirianni, could coach anything at Subway and tell him what he wants on his sandwich. All right, let's acknowledge, I swear. But Zach. First
of all, that's a great experience, but I prefer the Wawa digital signage.
Okay, well, it's easy, but look, in this case,
it's a lot less pressure to just because I always end up forgetting something at Subway. It's too much pressure.
And look, in Zach, in this case, can Nick Sirianni even do that? We don't even know. Can he hit the Wawa buttons? I'm not sure. He swears
he's gonna learn. Welcome to Philly.
He better learn because look, he's gonna have guys like me coming at him every week. But I haven't saw that, Zach. This has 3 and 14 now. This has 3 and 14 written all over it. It really does. Unless the general manager is locked in, which he's not. If he wants to go out and go get a wide receiver, which he had the best chance to do, Zach, he had the best spot to do it. He didn't do it. So having saw that, Zach, I'm not looking forward to the season. It's 3-14. Nick Sirianni, I mean, his analogy was, I'm competitive. If we're going to play rock, paper, scissors, I'm going to talk trash to you in rock, paper, scissors. Zach, who talks trash in rock, paper, scissors? Do you talk trash? I mean, I'm undefeated in that game, but you don't talk trash in rock, paper, scissors. I mean, come on now. That's terrible. I mean, Zach, this team, man, like it goes back to the food analogy, but it feels like the Eagles are the Burger King of this situation. No one wants to go there. And right here, Philly said Devontae Smith will be an Eagle, speaking into existence. I hope. You need something.
I mean, if he's there, you take him, no question. But I do have to say this, though. I do have to disagree with what you said previously about the quarterback position. The Eagles made a terrible mistake giving too much power to their quarterback this last time around. For those who remember, it's not very long ago, Carson Wentz was the Eagles quarterback, essentially going over Doug Peterson's head, calling the shots, and having way too much power, except for when he wanted to have wide receivers drafted. That is the only thing he didn't have power in, but he had a direct line to the owner. That is not necessarily his fault. I think Malcolm Jenkins said this before. It wasn't good for Carson Wentz to have his ego consistently inflated by this organization. The Eagles hopefully have learned from that mistake and are not going to do the same thing with Jalen Hurts. It is reckless and irresponsible to give a 23-year-old who played 3 starts and didn't even look that great in them. He looked promising, but not great. He did not win any of those games with the exception of that Saints game where they scored no points in the second half. It is reckless and irresponsible to say right now definitively, here are the keys to the franchise. However, you need to assure him behind closed doors he is the starter week 1. All he has to do is go out there and earn it. I like the idea of going out and earning the starting job. We know he's better than Joe Flacco. We know he has more potential than Joe Flacco. We know he, more than Joe Flacco, has the potential to carry this franchise for the next decade or so. That's how long quarterbacks should be in franchises for. With that being said, I do agree in some aspects. I don't know what Howie Roseman is doing. He doesn't even know what he's doing. I think Nick Sirianni, he needs a chance. He has had a very good track record, specifically with wide receivers. I read an article today that said the Eagles shouldn't even draft a wide receiver because he can develop regular Fulgham and a few other guys. I'm not saying I agree with that. His track record is strong. I think it's unfair right now to be as critical as we are against him. We know we could have brought in Eric Bieniemy. I am also frustrated about that. You have to give him a chance. And more importantly, I do like that he is forcing Jalen Hurts to earn it. Jalen Hurts is going to respond well to this competition. He's going to win it. He's going to go out there and hopefully he proves somebody wrong. Now, worst case scenario, he doesn't, and Howie Roseman gets fired. I'm not against the last part,
I will be
but I
celebrating.
would like to see Jalen Hurts potentially do well because it means that you save an entire season of potentially tanking. Instead of tanking this year to get a quarterback next year, you have that position answered. I hope that's the truth. I hope Jalen Hurts is good. But again, I think it's reckless and rude and arrogant to give a kid that young the keys to the franchise that early on. So I like that they did not name him the quarterback. I like they said that there will be a QB competition in camp, as there should be.
Well, real quick, Zach, before we head on out of here, I just want to say something. Now, when Joe Flacco was signed, he said that he had a Philadelphia, Eagles shirt and went to University of Delaware. Guess what, Joe? Nobody asked what you used to wear back in the day.
Hey, backup quarterbacks are more popular in Philly than starters.
But guess what, Zach? But we didn't ask for what he used to wear back in the day. Okay, Matt Ryan went to Downingtown, and we didn't, and we still don't, and we don't ask for Matt Ryan to come back, nor did we ask for him to do anything for us.
Matt Schaub, Westchester East.
Exactly, and Matt Schaub, but did we ask for him to come here? No. So having said that, Joe Flacco, we don't care. I don't care. I just want to win. I just want wins. All right. It's like if that T-shirt is going to bring me 10 wins, wear it. If you're just proving the T-shirt that you used to rock Eagles green back in the day, we don't care. We don't care. Zach, we wear a lot of clothes during the day. I had an Eagles shirt on yesterday, Zach. I mean, whoop-de-doo. Everybody has them. And finally, Zach, when it comes to Jalen Hurts, he's a competitor. He's a dog. Remember, he did win a national championship. He was replaced by someone even better, arguably better. In the last national championship he played, goes to Oklahoma, makes a little run for himself in there.
He did win the SEC championship when Tua got hurt the following year.
He did, and
Georgia.
And Zach, remember too, he does. Jalen Hurts goes to Oklahoma, goes on a run with Lincoln Riley, has some nice moments there, and C.D. Lamb and the crew. So Zach, I believe in Jalen Hurts. You're right. You don't give a guy the keys, but also too, you don't let the general manager just set you up to fail, and you're like an idiot like Howard Roseman that just says, you know what, I just don't feel like drafting your help today. That's what he's doing. I feel bad.
Possibly. I don't know. Look, they failed their last quarterback. Let's see what they do with this one. With that being said, around the this other sports world, last night was the women's volleyball semifinal. I don't recall quite which two teams are in the final. Only reason I watched it, a couple of my friends, we are participating in a volleyball tournament at our school, so we're watching and learning essentially. That is quite an impressive sport and a very fun one to watch, so make sure that you all do tune into that. The LPGA Tour is in Los Angeles right now. Jessica Korda currently leads the field going into the final day tomorrow. That is a Wednesday to Saturday tournament. And Cameron Champ and Tony Finau lead the field in the groupings for the TPC Louisiana Zurich Classic. Sean Payton in the Pro-Am had an amazing chip from, I guess it was a patio. Him and Drew Brees were partnered up the other day. It was quite fun to watch the Pro-Am. Tony Romo making his first career start on the Corn Ferry Tour. Did not have the strongest of outings. I think he was 6 over in his first round, but first hole he chipped in for Eagle, so that's quite a hot start today. He was 6 over. He I guess he teed off. The game play was suspended, so he was not able to play today. But he is 6 over. Obviously not going to win the first week. Maybe shake some nerves off. But and finally, of course, a picture just surfaced. I saw while we were going today. Tiger Woods was spotted on crutches. Looks like pretty high spirits. First picture following that car accident. Fortunately, he will be making a full recovery. With that being said, Flyers beat the Rangers last night. They are not mathematically eliminated according to our inside Flyer sources.
Let's be real.
Maybe next week that will change, but as of right now, still in it. Steph Curry moves up to number 5 in the key MVP ranks. Joel Embiid stays at 2, and Nikola Jokic at 1. As always, of course, we had to wait until the phone went up before we can stop our show today. But in all seriousness, Gaven, anything else you had to say?
Real quick, Zach, UFC 261 this weekend. We got Usman versus Masvidal. That's a main event right there. That's going to be a great one. We got, I can't even pronounce some of these names. We got a lot of UFC 261. That's going to be a good one, Zach. I'm excited for that. I'm a big UFC guy myself. There's no John Jones this weekend, so I won't be too heavily. There's no John Jones or Conor McGregor, Khabib, or any one of those guys. Holloway, I won't be watching that. Interesting. And finally, Zach, in softball, number 22 Georgia beat Oklahoma in a game. I went back and forth. Zach, I don't know if you saw that, but it was pretty amazing. It had me at the edge of my seat when I was watching the highlights of it. And, yeah, sports world for you guys.
Yeah, for sure. Of course, and of course, the final big story today: Chiefs shipped a first-round pick and 3 other picks to the Ravens in a package for Orlando Brown Jr. That's how you keep your team winning games. You go out and you get yourself one of the best tackles in the league. But what does that mean about the Ravens? Are they beginning to rebuild? Are they giving up on contention? You just gave your biggest competitor one of your best pieces. Gavin, final thoughts before we go on that trade.
Big trust will always prevail, Zach. You just gotta go get yourself. Maybe spend it on a tackle and get yourself a wide receiver. They're not high draft picks, but they're but you'll get 2 first, and then I think you get a second. So having said that, Zach, I don't think it's rebuilding, but it was one of those things where you just wanted to get somebody out of the way. So, yeah.
Without a doubt, a lot to go on in the sports world, trying to continue to keep you all up to date with it. We appreciate you all for watching us. We have a big week coming up next week, not only covering sports, a lot of moving stories in the world. We are going to discuss it both on and off the air. Make sure the best way to address this as we continue. For those who didn't watch our Real Talk last week, go ahead and take a watch at that. We had a chance to get on here, get some live raw emotion following the tragic shooting of Dante Wright. We're going to continue to just not push politics, not push our beliefs, but more push just equality and just striving for that without intruding on other people's. Just because we give rights to others doesn't mean we take them away from you. And that's something I firmly believe in. With that being said, Flyers and Rangers are about to kick off. Just got notified courtesy of my teams. Let's see if they can stay in the playoff push. With that being said, also, everybody have a great weekend, and we'll see you all next week.
Be amazing, people, everybody. Have a good weekend.
If you enjoyed today's video, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe if you haven't. In addition, hit that bell icon and set it to all to get reminded of when we go live and when we post excerpts of our videos.